The office janitor refused to empty my trash can for 2 weeks, saying, "Your bin's too far from my route. Move closer if you want service." So I rolled it into the center of the hallway with a sign that said, "Now accepting donations." Within a day, it was overflowing with her own paperwork. I worked in a mid-sized insurance claims office in Springfield, Missouri. Not a glamorous job, but it paid the bills. I'd been there almost 9 years, long enough to know the unspoken rules of politics and who to stay away from. Our department handled auto claims, and I had a small cubicle at the end of the hallway near the fire exit, next to the copy machine. It wasn't a high-traffic area, which I liked. Quiet, out of sight. My name's Ron, by the way. I'm 48, divorced, one daughter in high school. I live a simple life, don't bother anyone. Just want to get through the day, do my job, and go home. But it turns out, even when you keep your head down, some people will still find a way to make your life miserable. Enter Judy. She was the evening janitor. Early 60s, tight gray bun. Always wore a blue jumpsuit like she was ready to disarm a bomb instead of mop floors. She started working at our building maybe a year and a half ago. At first, everything was fine. She'd come in around 5:30 every evening, empty trash cans, vacuum the halls, refill paper towels in the kitchen. The usual. Then things changed. It started small. My trash can didn't get emptied one night. I figured she missed it. No big deal. Then it happened again and again. After a week, I left a sticky note on the bin. "Hi, trash hasn't been emptied in a while. Would really appreciate it if you could grab it when you have time. Thanks." Next morning, still full. Note crumpled up and shoved inside the trash can. That rubbed me the wrong way. I'm a calm guy, but that felt petty. I decided to speak to her directly. That night, I stayed late on purpose. Around 5:40, I saw her pushing her cart down the hall. I stood up, gave a small wave. "Hey, Judy, do you have a second?" She didn't even stop, just slowed down slightly. "I'm busy." "It's just quick. My trash bin hasn't been emptied in over a week. Is there a reason?" She stopped, turned her head just enough to glance at me. "Your bin's too far from my route. You want it emptied? Move it closer to the main hallway. Otherwise, not my problem." She turned and kept walking. I was floored. I sat back down and stewed. Too far from my route? It was maybe 15 feet from the main hallway, tucked behind the copy machine. But it was still an office space, still part of the building. What was I supposed to do? Carry my trash to someone else's cubicle every day? I thought about complaining to HR, but I knew how that would go. She's contracted through a third party, or we'll look into it, and nothing would happen. I wasn't interested in starting a war. I just wanted my trash emptied like every other person in this damn office. So I did what she said. Sort of. I wheeled my trash can right into the middle of the main hallway, right in the path of her cart. Taped a white piece of paper to the side with big bold letters. Now accepting donations, people started laughing. I got a few high fives. Someone from accounting threw in their empty coffee cup with a grin. A few folks asked what was going on, and when I explained, the story spread fast. By the next morning, the bin was overflowing. And the best part? Half the trash inside was Judy's own cleaning supply wrappers, empty disinfectant wipes, paper towel tubes, food wrappers from whatever she was snacking on while on the job. It was obvious she had used it herself during her rounds. I didn't say a word, just wheeled it back to my cubicle and left it there overflowing. That evening, I stayed late again. This time, when she came down the hall and saw me standing next to the full trash can, she stopped dead in her tracks. "You think you're funny?" she said, arms crossed. I didn't raise my voice, just looked at her calmly. "You told me to move it closer to your route, so I did." She scowled. "This isn't funny, Ron. You're making a scene." I shrugged. Didn't mean to. Just trying to get my trash emptied, like everyone else. She stood there for a second, then pushed her cart past me without saying another word. Didn't touch the trash. Didn't look back. 2 days later, my manager, Karen, not that kind of Karen, thankfully, called me into her office. Said someone filed a hostile work complaint against me. Said I was harassing staff. When I asked who filed it, she wouldn't say. But I knew. I explained the situation, even showed her the bin. She shook her head. "This is ridiculous. You're not in the wrong. I'll talk to facilities." I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. 3 days later, my bin disappeared. Just gone. No note. Nothing. I checked the hallway. I checked the break room. I checked under the copy machine like an idiot. Nothing. So now I had no trash can, no resolution, and a janitor who clearly had it out for me. That's when I decided to get creative. I ordered a new trash bin from Amazon. One of those bright red ones used in warehouses. Big, bulky, hard to miss. I slapped 3 signs on it. This bin has been rejected by janitorial services. Do not touch. Active experiment in office equality. Judy's donation center. Please feed her daily. I placed it right outside the break room, just off the main hall, where everyone could see it. Every day, people filled it. Coffee cups, lunch wrappers, shredded paper. It became a joke in the office. Someone even made a mini donation box next to it for janitor tips. Within a week, the building manager showed up. Not HR, not my boss, the actual building manager who oversees contracts, including janitorial services. He asked what was going on. I laid out, told him everything, showed him emails, told him about the disappearing bin, the refusal to empty it. He didn't laugh. He didn't smirk. He just said, let me look into this. 2 days later, Judy was gone. No warning, no farewell, just gone. We had a new janitor by Monday. Turns out, she'd had multiple complaints across several offices. Ignored duties. Rude behavior. One complaint said she poured mop water into a break room sink. Another said she left trash bins full in the women's restroom for 3 nights straight. Mine was just the last straw. I never wanted her fired. I really didn't. I just wanted to be treated the same as everyone else. But when you push people long enough, they push back. Now my trash gets emptied every night, and I don't have to fight about it. But I still keep that red bin in the corner next to my desk, just in case. A few weeks after Judy disappeared, things started to feel normal again. The new janitor, Miguel, was friendly, quiet, and did his job without drama. Trash got emptied. Floors got cleaned. No notes. No power games. Just peace. But peace doesn't last long in offices, especially not in Springfield. One afternoon, I came back from lunch and found a folded piece of paper on my chair. I thought it was a memo or someone's leftover joke, but it wasn't. It had no name on it, just one sentence written in block letters. Don't think you want anything. That was it. I looked around the cubicles. Nobody seemed to be watching me. Everyone was typing, walking, laughing near the water cooler. Normal stuff. But that note hit me like ice down my spine. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone thought they were being funny. But 2 days later, it happened again. This time, it was a sticky note on my monitor. Keep pushing people and see what happens. I took a picture of it and went to my manager. Karen was just as shocked as I was. She said she'd ask around, check security footage. But our building's cameras didn't cover the inner cubicle area, just the halls and exits. That's how it had always been. Too expensive to run cables to the middle, the building manager once told me. So now someone was messing with me. And it wasn't Judy, she was gone. Unless, that night, curiosity got the best of me. I searched her name online, just for the hell of it. Took a while, but I found her Facebook. It was mostly locked down, but one post was public, from 2 weeks ago. After years of dealing with arrogant desk jockeys who think they're better than the help, I'm finally free. Let's see how clean they keep their little kingdoms now. I don't know if it was about me, but it felt close. I started looking at the people who commented. A few names I didn't recognize, but one stood out, Cheryl Benson. She worked in payroll, different floor, but we rode the elevator together sometimes. Cheryl had liked the post. Then she commented, good riddance. I'd have thrown coffee on his keyboard. Now I was on high alert. I started keeping a small notebook in my drawer. Every time something weird happened, I wrote it down. Not just the notes. A few times, I'd return from lunch and my chair would be adjusted all the way down, or the cap on my water bottle would be loose. Once my mouse was on the left side of my keyboard, and I'm right-handed. I tried telling Karen again, but without proof. Her hand were tied. It could be anyone, she said. Maybe don't stay so late for a while. That wasn't helpful, so I set a trap. I bought a small USB camera off Amazon. Looked like a charger, but had motion detection. I plugged it into the strip behind my monitor, angled just right. Left it running over lunch every day. Nothing happened for 4 days. Then on the 5th, I struck gold. I came back from lunch and found nothing unusual. But when I reviewed the footage that night at home, I saw it clear as day. Cheryl, walking into my cubicle, looking around, opening my drawer. She took something, I couldn't see what, but she was in there for less than a minute, then gone. The next morning, my backup hard drive was missing. Just gone. That was it. I didn't care about office politics anymore. I sent the footage to Karen, to HR, and to the building manager. I made it clear, if this didn't get dealt with, I'd go to the police. Within hours, Cheryl was called into a meeting. She didn't come back. Some said she was fired. Others said she quit. I don't know which is true, but by the end of the week, her desk was empty, and nobody filled it. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. A week later, I started getting emails from a private Gmail address. No subject lines, just short sentences. You humiliated her. You think you're safe now? She has friends. I blocked it. Then another came from a different address. It happened 6 times, all anonymous. I went to IT. They said since it wasn't through the company server, they couldn't trace it. I was getting paranoid, looking over my shoulder, watching who sat near me at lunch. I stopped trusting people. Then my daughter, Sophie, called me one night crying. Dad, she said, did you talk to someone from my school? My stomach dropped. No, why? Someone sent an email to the office. Said you were under investigation for workplace harassment, that I should be kept away from you. They wouldn't tell me who it was, but they called me out of class to ask if you ever made me uncomfortable. I felt sick, absolutely sick. Whoever this was, they were going after my kid now, and that crossed a line no one ever should. After the call with Sophie, I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. I kept pacing, sitting in the dark. Every sound in my house felt like someone was outside. I double-checked the locks 3 times. I even turned off the porch light just so it wouldn't backlight my windows. Paranoia was chewing a hole through my chest. I called the school the next morning and asked to speak to the principal. She was cold at first, probably wondering what kind of creep would have this sort of thing said about him. But after I explained calmly and carefully, her voice softened. Ron, I'm sorry, but we got a very official-looking email. It came with an old photo of you and Sophie. At a 4th of July picnic, I think. We had to follow protocol. I knew exactly the photo she meant. I had it framed on my desk until a few weeks ago. I'd taken it home after the first creepy email. Someone had stolen it. Out of my drawer. That's what Cheryl took. It wasn't just a prank anymore. This was planned, targeted, personal. I was dealing with someone who wanted to ruin me. And that's when something clicked. I started digging through the notebook I'd been keeping. Dates, times, incidents, everything. I started cross-referencing who was in the office during those hours, who stayed late, who was friends with Cheryl, who laughed when Judy got fired, and who didn't. A pattern started forming. One name came up more than any other. Melissa Graft. She worked in accounts receivable, lived in the back corner of the floor near the printer. Always quiet, kept to herself. 40-something. Glasses. Always wore cardigans no matter the season. Harmless on the surface. But she and Judy had lunch together every day before Judy's shift. I remembered that now. Back when we all used to eat in the break room. And Cheryl? She and Melissa carpooled. Everyone knew it because Melissa's ancient Honda used to break down in the parking lot and Cheryl was always the one jump-starting it. It was her. She was behind it. All of it. She never said a word to me. Never smiled. Never looked at me. But the moment Judy got fired, something in her must have snapped. Loyalty? Spite? Maybe she thought I got her friend canned and Cheryl too. And she was the last one standing. So she started this war. Quietly. Safely. I needed proof. So I made a plan. I took a half day that Friday. Told everyone I was heading out of town for the weekend. Made sure people heard me say it. Even made a fake hotel reservation at a motel in Branson and printed the confirmation email in case anyone asked. Then I went home, parked my car 3 streets over, and took an Uber back to the office after 6 p.m. I sat in the dark parking lot for 2 hours, hood up, window cracked, watching. At 8:12 p.m., the side door opened. Melissa stepped out. Alone. She looked around, then walked back into the building. I slipped around to the back door and waited. 10 minutes later, she came back out, carrying a box. A small one. She put it in her back seat and drove off. I memorized the license plate. The next morning, I went back to the office early and checked my cubicle. My notebook was gone. So was my spare phone charger. And the red bin had been turned upside down. I'd had enough. I took everything I had, screenshots, the video of Cheryl, copies of the emails, the school call log, everything, and went straight to the police. I filed a harassment report, gave them Melissa's name and plate number. The officer listened closely, nodded a lot, took notes, asked careful questions, said it might take time, but they'd open a formal investigation. But something about how he said it felt like he'd heard stories like this before. Quiet people who snap in secret. And the fallout came faster than I expected. Monday morning, there was an all-staff meeting at 9 a.m. sharp. Nobody knew what it was for. The building manager stood at the front, looking pale and tired. So did Karen. HR reps were lined up beside them like a firing squad. Effective immediately, Melissa Graft has been terminated from his office. She is not permitted on the premises under any circumstances. If she contacts you, report it immediately. Gasps, whispers. Someone asked what happened. They didn't answer, but I knew, and I wanted that to be the end. I really did, but things were never that easy. That night, someone egged my house. 3 eggs. Splat, splat, splat. Right on my bedroom window at 1:23 a.m. I jumped out of bed and ran outside barefoot. But the car was already gone. My mailbox had been ripped off a post. My trash cans knocked over. And on the side of my garage, sprayed in red paint. She was better than you. I called the police again. Same officer. This time, they filed it under vandalism and suggested a restraining order. I said yes. But deep down, I knew Melissa wasn't acting alone. She had help. And whoever it was, they weren't going to stop. Not until I hit back harder. Not until I burned it all down. I followed every officer's suggestion after that night. I got cameras installed around my house front and back. Upgraded the motion lights. Put locks on the gate. I started keeping a journal again. This time backed up digitally. Everything was dated, time-stamped, and photographed. I wasn't going to give these people one more inch of my life. The restraining order against Melissa was approved in less than a week. A sheriff delivered the paperwork to her apartment, and that should have been it. But 2 days later, my daughter Sophie got a message on Instagram. A burner account. No profile photo. The message was short. You really think your dad's the good guy in this? That was the final line. The one they crossed that couldn't be undone. I contacted the police again, but they were moving slow. Digital harassment cases take time. They said, it's hard to prove direct intent when accounts are untraceable. They meant well, but they were useless. So I took matters into my own hands. I didn't go after Melissa. I went after the people around her, the ones still helping her quietly, the ones who thought they were safe because they never put their names on anything. I started with Cheryl. I knew she had kids. I knew she worked under the table at a small tax prep office after losing her job at our company. I found the office, talked to the owner, told him I was following up on a possible insurance claim related to employee theft, which wasn't a lie. I showed him the footage of her taking from my desk, told him I was preparing a civil case and needed a statement. By the next morning, she was fired. Then I went after Melissa's online trail, took screenshots of every comment she'd ever made publicly under her real name, found 4 old Reddit accounts linked to her email. Public posts had the same username she once used to register for a holiday gift pool at our old office. Idiot move. One of those accounts posted in a Springfield community thread back in June, bragging about giving someone a taste of their own medicine and exposing a predator for what he was. The post mentioned an office, a janitor friend, a school email, and a red trash can. Too specific to be anyone else. I took screenshots of it all. Then I hired a lawyer. Not a big shot, just someone who knew how to send loud legal threats. She filed a formal cease and desist to Melissa and Cheryl, with notice that I was collecting damages for harassment, defamation, and emotional distress, including exposure of my minor child to false claims. Melissa's landlord was also sent a packet. Every page of the restraining order, the vandalism report, the stolen photo, the Reddit post. Within 2 weeks, she was evicted. She tried fighting it, but she'd missed rent twice already. The landlord used it as an excuse to clear her out. That same month, my lawyer filed a civil suit. It never went to court. Melissa didn't even try to defend herself. But that wasn't even the worst part for her. I tracked down her brother. I only knew she had one because she mentioned him once in passing at the printer, saying something like, "My brother's the only one who ever checks on me." He lived in Jefferson City. I found him through a Facebook group, sent him everything, every email, every photo, every video, even the school's incident log. His reply? She's been doing this her whole life. Always plays the victim. Our whole family cut her off years ago. I should have warned someone. I guess he reached out to her directly because 2 days later I got a long, hysterical voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. It was Melissa. She was crying, angry, screaming at points. "You ruined me. You think you're a saint? You're a piece of sh*T hiding behind keyboard. I was trying to stand up for people who got used and tossed away. And now I can't even walk into a grocery store without wondering who's staring at me." I saved the voicemail. I played it for the cops. Another violation of the restraining order. They added it to the file. That was the last time she ever contacted me. But the damage was already done. I lost weight, sleep, trust. For 6 months, I couldn't sit in my own living room without looking over my shoulder. I nearly pulled Sophie out of school to protect her. My ex-wife, Sophie's mom, found out about everything. She blamed me. "You always had a way of provoking people," she said. "Why couldn't you just let it go?" Let it go? I nearly lost my daughter to rumors, my job to fake complaints, my home to fear. And she thought I escalated it? That was our final phone call. She stopped letting Sophie stay over on school nights. Said she didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't push it. I couldn't. Not after what Sophie had been dragged into. The worst part? Sophie changed. She used to call me after every test, every school play, even after boring days, just to say hi. Now, I get silence. She responds to texts, sure, but the calls stopped. She keeps a wall up now, like a part of her doesn't know who to believe. I don't blame her. I blame Melissa, Judy, Cheryl, all of them. They didn't just try to ruin me. They did ruin part of me. But I took everything from them in return. Judy never worked in our county again. Word got out. Maintenance contracts started passing her up. I found out through a building manager I stayed in touch with. Cheryl? Last I heard, she was working part-time at a gas station near I-44. No benefits. No desk. No future. Melissa disappeared from social media. Her email accounts went dead. Her LinkedIn profile was deleted. Her apartment empty. A friend from work said she moved in with a cousin in Kansas and was not doing well mentally. I don't celebrate that. I don't wish mental illness on anyone. But when you spend your life trying to ruin others, sometimes it eats you from inside. As for me, I still go to work every day. Different desk now. Different department. I don't sit near the exits. I don't speak to janitors unless it's absolutely necessary. I empty my own trash, and I keep that red bin right beside my desk. A reminder of how quickly things can spiral when people start treating basic decency like a favor. A reminder that some wars don't start with violence. They start with a whisper, and they end in silence.